TIFU by lying about being fluent in Spanish. So this happened a few weeks ago, and the shame still clings to me like a wet sock. I, 29M, work for a mid-sized tech company that prides itself on being diverse and global, which mostly just means we have a lot of Zoom calls across time zones and the occasional pizza party with international flags. It's a chill place, mostly, and I'd been coasting comfortably for a few years. That is, until Lucia started. Lucia. Marketing. Effortlessly cool. Originally from Argentina. Always sipping mate out of a metal straw and somehow making spreadsheets look like an art form. We hit it off pretty quickly, lots of banter in the break room, similar taste in memes, and the occasional shared look when someone said something dumb in a meeting. So when she casually asked during lunch one day, "Hablas español? Do you speak Spanish?" I didn't even pause. I lied. I lied with the confidence of a man who once took 2 semesters of Spanish in high school and remembered how to ask for directions to the library. "Sí, claro," I said, like some telenovela side character with a secret. Her eyes lit up. "Que bueno. You'll have to help me out then, some of the dev docs from our Bogota team are a mess." I laughed. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Over the next week, things escalated fast. She started dropping Spanish into our conversations, casual phrases at first. I smiled and nodded a lot. I downloaded Duolingo and set it to aggressive notifications. I started using Google Translate like it was an EpiPen. I thought I could fake it for a few more interactions until I either learned enough or made a smooth exit. But then our manager, Jason, overheard Lucia complimenting me on my bilingual skills. And that absolute madman, God bless his corporate heart, immediately decided I should join the client call with our South American partners the following week to bridge communication. So yeah. That's how I got stuck on the calendar as the Spanish liaison. For a live Zoom call. With actual fluent people. In a language I barely understood. I haven't known true fear since I was 5 and lost my mom in a grocery store, but this was worse. So now I'm the Spanish guy. Not because I'm actually the Spanish guy, but because I panicked and didn't want to look uncool in front of a woman who could probably curse me out poetically in 3 different dialects. With the big client call looming, I entered panic mode. My entire strategy at that point was avoid Lucia. Study Spanish like my job depends on it, because now, it kinda does. Pray no one realizes I peaked linguistically at La Biblioteca Esta Cerca del Parque. I became a walking Duolingo advertisement. I had Spanish podcasts playing at 1.5x speed on my commute. I was trying to memorize basic verb conjugations while brushing my teeth. I started labeling things in my apartment Puerta, Escritorio, Taza de Café. At one point, I even tried watching Narcos with Spanish subtitles, but that backfired spectacularly when I started mixing up business Spanish with cartel lingo. Meanwhile, Lucia was being Lucia. Effortlessly charming, totally unaware of the linguistic nightmare I trapped myself in. She'd toss out little Spanish jokes in Slack and tag me with a laughing emoji, and I'd just respond with a vague ha, like I totally got it. Spoiler, I did not get it. Then came the email. From Jason. "Hey team. Just a reminder, we've got the Zoom call with Cielosoft, our Bogota partners, on Thursday. Thanks to Lucia and, my name, for helping lead on translation and cultural alignment." Cultural alignment? What does that even mean? Suddenly I was responsible for not just translating, but also not offending anyone's national identity with my fake Spanish skills. At this point, I seriously considered faking my own death. Or, less dramatically, maybe inventing a mysterious illness like sudden onset bilingual burnout. But nope, Thursday was locked in. That night, I had an actual dream where I was sitting in the Zoom call, and every time I opened my mouth, I just screamed Taco Bell, and everyone nodded like I'd said something profound. The clock was ticking. I had 3 days to somehow become passably fluent or crash and burn in front of Lucia, my boss, and a group of international professionals who'd see right through my BS the second I said hola with a Midwestern accent. All right. It's now 1 day before the Zoom call, and I am spiraling like a raccoon stuck in a revolving door. By this point, I've built what I generously refer to as a survival kit. A color-coded Google Doc with common phrases. 2 ChatGPT tabs open, one for emergency translation, one for emotional support. Post-it notes all over my laptop with things like puede repetir, por favor, and lo siento, mi conexión es mala. My plan B was faking audio issues. And a printed-out script that looked like I was preparing for an off-Broadway performance titled Imposter, the bilingual tragedy. Lucia, bless her multilingual heart, popped by my desk that afternoon and said, "You're good for tomorrow, right?" They speak really fast sometimes, but I'll jump in if it gets overwhelming. I laughed. That panicked, high-pitched laugh that sounds like a balloon dying. Totally. I'm ready. I was not. Now, I should mention I had one last-ditch idea: get help from my cousin Marcos, who actually is fluent in Spanish and owed me a favor after I bailed him out of a brutal family karaoke night last Christmas. I FaceTimed him, explained the situation, and he just stared at me in silence for 5 full seconds before saying, "So you catfished your entire company as a Latino linguist to impress a girl? It's not that bad. You realize Bogota Spanish is fast as hell, right? It's like Spanish on double espresso. Okay, but will you help me or not? Only because I need you to suffer for my entertainment." So Marcos agreed to sit in off-camera during the Zoom call, feeding me live translations like some shady sports commentator. My plan was to have my AirPods in and pretend I was just deep in thought while he whispered sweet, grammatical salvation in my ear. Desperate? Absolutely. Ethical? Probably not. But at this point, it was survival. Fast forward to the next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m., practiced basic phrases in the mirror like I was about to go undercover in Madrid, and drank 3 cups of coffee even though I was already sweating bullets. The meeting was set for 10 a.m. At 9:59, I clicked Join Meeting. Marcos texted, "Ready when you are, Mr. Worldwide." And just like that, I entered the Zoom call that would either destroy my career or make me the most chaotic legend in office lore. Okay. So I'm in the call. There's that familiar awkward Zoom silence where everyone's pretending to look busy while secretly checking their hair in the webcam. My screen fills with little rectangles, Cielosoft's team from Bogota on one side, my team on the other. Jason's got his usual "I've had 5 coffees and a motivational podcast" grin. Lucia looks effortlessly cool, as always. And me? I'm smiling like a hostage. Buenos dias, everyone. Jason starts, super chipper. Thanks for joining us today. We're excited to sync up on this integration plan. And we're lucky to have Lucia and me to help with translation. Internal screaming. Lucia gives me a supportive little nod. I nod back like, "See, totally chill, I do this all the time." Meanwhile, Marcos is already in my AirPods, whispering, "Dude. The guy on the left just said he's excited to move fast with this partnership. Say something back, now." I unmute. My mouth is dry. Sí, nosotros estamos muy emocionados por trabajar juntos rápidamente. It came out like someone trying to defuse a bomb using a phrasebook. There's a pause. One of the guys from Cielosoft blinks. Then he smiles. Perfecto. I exhale like I just gave birth. For the first 10 minutes, I survive. Marcos is feeding me keywords and I'm parroting them with the confidence of someone on thin, cracking ice. I repeat phrases like a nervous waiter. I nod a lot. I say exactament like it's a life raft. Lucia even gives me a thumbs up in the chat. But then, disaster. One of the Bogota guys shares his screen, a massive flowchart. He starts going rapid fire in Spanish, pointing to integration nodes and dependencies, tossing out acronyms I've never even seen in English. Marcos says, I have no idea what he just said. He's talking faster than my abuela on espresso. You're on your own. I'm on my own. Lucia turns to me, smiling sweetly. Wanna summarize what he just said for Jason? I black out for a second. My soul briefly leaves my body. I glance at the screen, nod like I'd just discovered the meaning of life, and say, "Sí, entonces, el dice que, everything is very bueno. And we should start con el first phase, y después, the, next thing." Silence. Jason goes, "Great, sounds like we're aligned." Cielosoft smiles and nods. Lucia just stares at me for a beat longer than necessary. Like she's trying to calculate how many brain cells I lost in that sentence. I think I got away with it. But I also think Lucia knows. So, the call ended. Jason clapped like we just wrapped a successful product launch, completely unaware that I'd spent the past 45 minutes dangling over a linguistic cliff by a thread of borrowed phrases in blind panic. He dropped a "great work, team" in the chat and bounced off to another meeting, high on synergy or whatever managers run on. Lucia stayed behind. She didn't say anything for a second. Just stared at me through the screen like she was trying to scan my soul for malware. Then, that was interesting. My brain did somersaults trying to decode her tone. Was she amused? Suspicious? Already writing a strongly worded email to HR? So I laughed. A dumb, brittle laugh that said I am totally fine and not dying inside, thanks for asking. Yeah, haha. Fast talkers, huh? She tilted her head. You said everything is very bueno. I felt my entire lineage recoil in shame. I mean, it was bueno, I replied, praying to every language god that had ever existed. Just, very high-level bueno. She raised one eyebrow. One single eyebrow. It was worse than yelling. Then she sighed and leaned back in her chair. You don't speak Spanish, do you? There it was. The guillotine. I could have lied again. Doubled down. Blamed my mic, or said I was hungover, or just thrown my laptop into traffic and gone off the grid. But instead, I just stared into the camera, defeated, and said, "Not fluently." She laughed. Not a mocking laugh, an actual, full-bellied laugh. I blinked. "Oh my God," she said, wiping her eyes. I knew something was off. I told my cousin back in Buenos Aires that our bilingual coworker called an API integration muy bueno, and she spit out her coffee. I winced. I panicked when you asked me that day in the kitchen. You're cool, and I just wanted to impress you. She grinned. So instead of asking me out like a normal person, you tried to fake a whole language? Basically, yeah. Lucia just shook her head. That's either the dumbest or most committed thing I've ever seen. Then she said the thing that nearly made me pass out. Drinks after work? You can practice your Spanish on me. Real lessons this time. So, I didn't get fired. I didn't get roasted by the Bogota team, somehow. And I didn't lose Lucia. In fact, we went out for drinks that Friday. You know that scene in a movie where the main character survives a plane crash, walks away stunned, and suddenly everything looks brighter and more meaningful? That was me, sitting at a tiny bar with Lucia, sipping a margarita and trying to pretend I wasn't a walking cautionary tale. She was wearing this dark green sweater, laughing about the Zoom call and doing dead-on impressions of my Spanglish summaries, complete with finger guns. It should have been humiliating, but somehow, it wasn't. It was actually kind of awesome. You really thought bueno was gonna carry you through a business call? She asked, shaking her head. In fairness, I said, it's a very flexible word. Multitasker. Good for all occasions. We ended up talking for hours about her life in Argentina, how she learned English watching Friends, and how much she misses actual empanadas. At one point, she switched into slow, patient Spanish, coaching me through simple phrases like "Donde está el baño?" and "Necesito una cerveza." Priorities. Honestly? It felt way better than pretending to know anything. I'm going to teach you real Spanish, she said, poking my arm with a tortilla chip. And not just phrases from Narcos or your cousin's cheat sheets. And that's how I ended up getting dragged into Spanish Sundays, our new unofficial tradition where we hang out, eat ridiculous amounts of food, and she tests my growing vocabulary with flashcards that have increasingly unhinged sentences like El gato quer una motocicleta. The work drama calmed down. Jason started calling me our culture guy, which is both inaccurate and wildly generous. Marcos still roasts me in the family group chat with memes like when you pretend to be bilingual but end up dating your Spanish tutor. But honestly, I think this might have been the best dumb mistake I've ever made. Even if I still accidentally say yo soy pan sometimes. So, things were good. Really good, actually. Lucia and I were doing our weird little Spanish Sundays. My coworkers had mostly stopped asking me to translate stuff. Marcos declared me an acceptable beginner and even made me a Spotify playlist called Spanish You Can Cry To and Learn From. Life was chill. Which, obviously, meant the universe was preparing to mess with me again. Enter Jason. About 2 weeks after the Zoom incident, he pulled me into a random one-on-one meeting titled New Opportunities. Which sounds exciting, sure. But when your entire work persona is built on a language lie, opportunity feels more like trap. We hopped on the call, and he hit me with, "I've been really impressed with how you've stepped up lately." Oh no. That call with Cielosoft showed real initiative. Please stop. I've been talking to upper management, and we're considering creating a new cross-regional liaison role. Someone who understands both technical implementation and international communication. I forgot how to breathe. And I think you'd be a great fit. Sir. I gave him my best totally not sweating face. Wow, that's an honor. Then Jason says, there'd probably be more travel involved. Maybe even a short stint in South America, if you're open to it. Just immersion, a little FaceTime with our partners. Excuse me? I almost fell out of my chair. Lucia would kill me if she knew this was happening. I could already imagine her reaction. You fake Spanished your way into a promotion? I needed a lifeline. I texted Marcos under the table. I think I just got offered a job that requires actual Spanish. Help! Marcos, you're like a telenovela character who lies in episode 1 and ends up running for president in episode 20. That's not helpful. Marcos, I'm proud of you. I hate you. Jason said they hadn't made anything official yet, just feelers, and to think about it. I said I would. Now I'm stuck between coming clean, continuing the chaos, or becoming the world's most reluctant multilingual liaison. Lucia still doesn't know. And this might be the last time I can keep the truth from blowing up in my face. I knew I couldn't keep it going. The lie had gone from a dumb little flirtation fib to a potential international job offer. I was literally 1C away from being shipped to Bogota to represent the company I'd technically bamboozled with a 6th grade level vocabulary. So that Sunday, I sat down with Lucia at her place, surrounded by half-eaten empanadas and my sad stack of flashcards, and said, I need to tell you something. She immediately froze mid-chew. Oh no. That's how people confess to murder. I laughed, but it came out weird. High-pitched. Definitely guilty. I didn't just exaggerate my Spanish, I said. I lied. Like, completely. I panicked. I wanted to impress you, and I never thought it'd go this far. Then Jason thought I was fluent, and next thing I know, I'm pretending to be the office Diego Luna. Lucia didn't say anything for a moment. She just looked at me, slowly chewing, processing. Then she put down her empanada. You mean to tell me, she said slowly, that everything, all of this, started because you were trying to flirt? Yes. Lucia covered her face and laughed so hard she nearly choked. I knew it. I told my roommate. I was like, there's no way this guy actually thinks muy bueno is appropriate business vocabulary. I just didn't expect you to double down that hard. I almost moved to another continent, I said. I had a suitcase open. She leaned back on the couch, wiping tears from her eyes. This is the most romantic act of professional fraud I've ever witnessed. Then she got serious. You're lucky you're not terrible at your actual job. I nodded. Super lucky. And I was going to turn the promotion down. I can't fake that. Not anymore. Lucia tilted her head. Why not take it, but be honest? Tell them you're learning, and that you're committed, and maybe even. I don't know, ask the bilingual girl you're dating for help? Dating. She said dating. Wait, are we? I started. She tossed a flashcard at me. Don't ruin it. Just conjugate IR correctly and we'll talk. The next day, I walked into Jason's office and came clean. Well, mostly clean. I told him I had been brushing up on my Spanish, wasn't fluent yet, but had a passion for learning and cross-team collaboration. Buzzword salad, thank you very much. He bought it. Said it showed humility and growth mindset. I didn't get the promotion. Not yet. But he told me to reapply in 6 months. Lucia high-fived me when I told her. Then made me order dinner in Spanish over the phone as punishment.